You may be seated.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is a case of Tillman versus Johnson.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Mr. Tillman, you claim your biological daughter, Annetta Tillman, disappeared out of your life 30 years ago, and you haven't seen her since.
Yeah.
Now, paternity doubts have led to your petition for a DNA test to prove you are her father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Johnson, you are the reason for those paternity doubts. You also had a sexual relationship with Miss Tillman's mother at the time of conception and hope today's DNA results prove you are the biological father because you raised her. Am I correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Tillman, what was the nature of your relationship with Miss Tillman's mother? Was it committed?
It started out more like friendship, more so than a committed relationship. But as time grew on and I discovered that she was dealing with other people than myself, so that's when I kind of strayed away.
So you discovered she was also in a relationship with Mr. Johnson?
I didn't necessarily know that they were in a relationship, but I knew that she was dealing with somebody else other than myself.
So, Mr. Johnson, you were also in a relationship with the same woman?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
When I met her, she wasn't working, and I was working at a bakery, and so I got her a job there. She didn't have a way to get to work. I drove her to work, and then took her back home and stuff. And I only met Mr. Tilman briefly, one time. It was at a rooming house.
I lived at the rooming house.
But when I met her, she was at your house then.
Well, okay.
Okay. Mr. Johnson, you were having an intimate relationship as well, not just picking her up and dropping her off from work.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Did you know about Mr. Tillman?
No, I only met him that one time, dropping her off home from work.
Do you remember this encounter?
He seen me more than once. Because he's the one that came and told me when CC was in the hospital having Netta. Remember that?
So let me get to the pregnancy. What did Miss Tillman's mother tell you about
She came
the
to my
pregnancy?
apartment one morning after we had been separated, I guess about maybe almost 5 months. When she showed up at my door, she was pregnant, I was in a joking way, actually, what happened to her. And so she told me she was pregnant, it was mine.
Did she also tell you, Mr. Johnson?
All she told me, she was pregnant. And I asked her, was it from that guy? And she said, yeah, I believe so. And then
So she told you the baby was not yours?
Yeah.
And she told you it was the guy, and the guy is Mr. Tillman?
Yes, ma'am.
All right,
Yes,
and so
Your
Mr. Tillman, did you believe the child was yours when she told you?
Not at first, Your Honor. I didn't believe it till I went out to the hospital and actually saw her laying up there in the hospital bed. And from that point on, I was in her life till they sent my daughter away.
They sent her away.
I guess you was CC. Y'all
Sent
had
her
to
away.
send her away because, you know what?
It's like Yester told me that you had sex with her that morning, around about
sex
12
with who?
o'clock. With Cece. And
That's Miss Tillman,
Yeah.
mother.
Yes, that's her
Okay.
mother. And so she told me she had sex with you that around about 12 o'clock. And I had stopped by there around about 3-something, and me and her had sex.
I don't remember.
So wait a minute, Mr. Johnson, let me make sure I understand your testimony. You're saying that Miss Tillman's mother told you she had had a sexual encounter with Mr. Tillman earlier
that day.
And then you came by, and then you also had a sexual encounter.
Yeah, but
so
she didn't
basically,
tell-
she admitted to you she slept with you and Mr. Tillman on the same day. And
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
what made you believe that.
It could be my daughter.
And so you submitted a calendar to the court
Yes.
that outlines this.
Yeah.
So around February
Yeah.
1983,
Yeah.
you state that Miss Tillman's mother told you she slept with Mr. Tillman first,
Yes.
and then when you came by around 3, she slept with you as well.
Yes.
And immediately you realized, well, if that was around the time Miss Tillman was conceived, then I could also be her biological father.
Yes.
Who came for the birth?
I picked up Miss Tillman's mother and the baby.
And the baby. You picked him up from the hospital.
Yes.
But you came up to the hospital, Mr.
Right.
Tillman.
After you came and told me CC was in the hospital having
I don't remember telling you.
Well,
If you brought her home from the hospital, who was in her life after that? Did you have a relationship with her?
Yeah, because far as I knew, he was gone.
And so, Mr. Tillman, did you have a relationship? Did you get to see the baby?
Yes, I did, Your Honor. I used to
did.
come and get my daughter and take her with me on the weekends, and anything she needed, I did.
Where did you come and get her
Y'all
from?
just took my daughter.
Where did you come and get her from?
From Cece's house.
Huh? Sent away where?
To Georgia, to her dad's house. Cece came and told me.
Man, that was when she.
After she was born, yes.
All right,
she did not go to
gentlemen.
Georgia after she was born.
Let's get some order. I realize that we are discussing Ms. Tillman, but I think it would be better if we hear from her. Jerome, would you please escort Ms. Tillman into the courtroom, please? Hello, Ms. Tillman. Thank you for being here. Stand over at the podium. Both of these men say that there is possibility that they are your biological father. Who do you think your biological father is?
Honestly, George, I have no idea. My whole life, I've had Mr. Tillman's last name, but this is a gentleman I've never met before.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. You have never, in your recollection, met Mr. Tilman before?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Because he just testified in court that he came to the hospital to see you when you were a baby, used to pick you up when you were a little girl and take you with him to spend weekends because he believed he was your father.
Well, the only person I've ever had come pick me up and take me out on the weekends was Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson has always been there for me. So I'm really confused. I don't know. And
Baby, after your mother and him sent you to Georgia, I lost contact with you.
But you know my name. You know my
I came back
birthday.
several times trying to find you.
But what happened?
And I don't know.
How could you not find me?
I couldn't
And
find
then
you. Everybody
my whole-
disappeared.
And then Mr. Johnson, it's a
Mr.
possibility
Johnny and your
that
mother was full of crap.
he
right?
was
Full of crap.
Yeah.
You said that you used to pick her up
Yes.
when she was little and take her from work.
I'm the one
You couldn't
who
have.
gave her her first birthday party.
You couldn't have. He didn't go to Georgia
I don't know
after
where
her.
I don't know where y'all sent her.
about
at.
3
I know
years
y'all
old.
sent her somewhere.
They sent me to Georgia when I was about 3 years old.
So you
Hello,
did,
I
okay,
really-
okay. So
Last time I saw
now,
her.
what Mr. Tilman is testifying to is in fact true. You were
Okay.
sent to Georgia to live.
I was sent to Georgia to live.
When you were growing up, you said Mr. Johnson was always there for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Who did you think Mr. Johnson was exactly?
Johnny was my mother's friend, and to me, I grew up knowing him as my godfather. Like, he's always been my father figure in my life. I've never known this man over here. Johnny has always been there for me.
So they said it was your godfather.
Yes, ma'am. I didn't know that him and my mom and all of them had whatever they had going on the same time. Like, I had no idea about this.
You never knew any of this?
No, ma'am. I feel like I've been misled, I've been lied to, I've been cheated out of so much.
And I have
I'll be
too,
32
baby.
years old.
And I have
And
too.
I've never, all I have is a name on a piece of paper. That's all
And
I have.
how did you get that name? Let's talk about that.
That's how did I get my name?
I signed for you at the hospital after you were born.
This is my birth
I have the
certificate,
original birth certificate.
And it doesn't have
So
Let
a
why
me
you-
see
why-
that.
why
Jerome,
you,
Jerome, hand me that.
Why you left?
Cece got mad at me because she found out I was going to New York to get married, and that's why I think you and her sent my daughter away out of my life. It's not my fault.
What do you mean it's not
It's
your
not
fault?
my
You
fault.
know my name, you know my birthday, you know everything. There's internet. I look for you. I searched for you. I searched for you.
Mr. Tillman, you handed me a piece of evidence. I want you to describe this for me. This is
Her
a birth certificate. It is Annetta Tillman's birth certificate.
Right. The one with the raised seal, her original birth certificate.
And listed as mother, Sister Ruth Williams.
Right.
And then as father, it's blank.
It's blank. It's big
Well,
blank.
I got
so
your
how
birth
did you
certificate from the
sign?
hospital, I'm telling
Well, how
you
did
that-
you sign my birth certificate and there's no name on there?
At the hospital, the nurse gave me your birth certificate at the hospital. I was out there for you.
Mr. Tillman, you said you came up there.
Yes,
And
I
you
came to
just
the hospital
testified a moment
after
ago.
she was born.
And you just testified a
And you
moment
got
ago
a
that
birth
you
certificate,
signed
your
it.
name should be on it.
It should be on there. How did
How did I end up with the original birth certificate?
I don't know. You can
I
go.
don't
You
know.
go. You can go in and
how did I
get a
end
birth
up with the
certificate.
last name of a man that I've never
Mr.
met?
Tillman, I want to understand this.
Yes, sure.
You said you remember signing it, putting your name
I
on
remember
it.
being at the hospital. I remember, and when I left there, I ended up with the birth certificate. Now, how I end up with it, I can't. It's so much. No, the
30.
reason I wasn't in your life, baby, because they sent you away.
I don't care about what they did.
Well,
you are
I
a grown
can't-
man.
But-
You have your own. You
That's
should
right.
have did it. You shouldn't have stopped. You knew I was out there. Did you not know I was out there? You
Yes,
knew
I knew you was out there, and I tried my best to find you.
Your best is.
I'm not one of those computer wizards. I'm old school, baby.
But I
ain't
mean,
gotta
this,
be
you
computer.
don't
Huh?
have to be.
I
There's-
don't even have an email address.
It
I
doesn't
don't
matter.
say that.
There's,
Well, now I
there's,
do.
there's somebody.
So,
somebody
Mr.
could've
Tillman-
went on there.
Hold on a minute.
Mr.
What you said-
Tillman,
John, I don't feel like talking to you.
Mr.
said-
Tillman,
listen.
hold on,
Yes,
hold
You ain't
on.
gotta talk. All you gotta do is listen.
I don't want to listen at you.
No, you said that
Gentlemen,
you used to come to her house.
Gentlemen, ultimately, we know that this young woman grew up without knowing who her biological father is, and we're trying to get down to the bottom of this. Mr. Tillman, you brought a witness. I'd like to hear from her, please. Please stand, ma'am. State your name for the court, ma'am.
Melissa,
And you are?
I'm his girlfriend.
You're his girlfriend?
Yes.
And what do you know about this, ma'am?
I remember one day just sitting there. He brings out her birth certificate. Said, I ain't seen her in all these years. This man's almost come to tears because he hasn't seen her in over 30 years. They've taken her from him.
What I'm saying, what I don't get, you saying that you didn't know where she was.
I didn't.
But yet you said that you came and you took her
But
place.
when I came back to Orlando 5 years later, after I came back, everybody had to move. I had no idea where anybody was at.
Ultimately, what I want to understand now, Ms. Tilman, as you stand there, what are your hopes for today?
I want to know. I want to know where he's been. I want to know why he wasn't there. He missed out on so much.
I
And you
know,
can tell me that you searched, and you can tell me that you searched, but you didn't find me. You didn't find me, so you did not search hard enough. I want to have closure. I want to know who I am. There's so much to
You're
me
my
that's
child.
missing. It's a whole nother side of me missing that I don't
You
have.
think I haven't been missing things? You think the years that it took you growing up, you think I
Listen,
didn't?
if you go to
stuff?
Google and just put in Annetta Tillman, it pops up. It'll even bring you to my address for years now, so I don't understand. You can't tell me. You probably have more children. I probably have brothers and
Mr.
sisters
Tillman,
where they could have looked.
What are your hopes?
Do they even
I
know?
mean,
I was just glad to find that she was still alive, because I didn't know whether she was alive or she was dead. It didn't
That's
look
all
how
your
she
hope?
feel toward me.
That's
It's
all
like
your
it was
hope?
my fault.
So,
You know what?
Mr. Tillman,
If I was you, John, I would just quit. I would just
you
stop.
don't know
You know what
me.
I'm saying?
You don't know
Mr.
me.
You don't know
Tillman,
me very well either.
Mr. Tillman,
we don't
address,
know each other
Mr.
well.
Tillman, just
Gentlemen,
address me.
Listen to the judge.
All right, John. I'm sorry, y'all.
What are your hopes today? What are you hoping?
Now that I know where she's at, I always want to be a part of her life. I don't intend to lose her again. But, you know, to me, it was stupid in the first place why I had lost contact with her. They knew better than that.
All right.
You know, they knew better.
You could have.
Baby, you keep faulting me. You better.
I can't really know. There's no explanation.
All right, baby,
There's
I'm
no
sorry.
reason.
It's just-
There's
what
nothing.
am I
My
supposed
mother
to
is
do?
dead and
Ladies,
gone. There's no reason why I
Ladies,
can't fault
gentlemen,
you.
we can keep arguing about this. Ms. Tillman, I realize how hurt you are. I do. Mr. Johnson, what are your hopes today?
My hopes today is that I am her father.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
But I think it's time to get the results. Are we ready? Well, these results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Tilman versus Johnson, when it comes to 31-year-old Annetta Tillman, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Johnson, you are not her father.
Oh, man.
The next result, please, Jerome. Do you want to watch Paternity Court on TV? Go to paternitycourt.tv to find your local listings. As it relates to Mr. Tillman. In the case of Tillman versus Johnson, when it comes to 31-year-old Annetta Tillman, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Tillman, you are her father.
I knew it. I knew it. I knew it.
Come on. It's all right.
Little baby, I'm sorry, but it was not my fault. No matter how much you're trying to blame me, they took you away from me.
Nobody took her away from
Yes,
you.
you did.
You away.
You did. Y'all did. Y'all just
They
took my
didn't
baby
give you
away.
nobody an opportunity to contact you. They took you away, so he couldn't. They took you away.
Mr. Johnson, I see you've loved her. That's amazing. But knowing what you knew, that within a span of hours, a woman slept with 2 men in the same day, that was a piece of information that I think was very key. And I have to say this too, because Mr. Tilman, yes, we do have a lot of means to find children nowadays. I agree with Ms. Tillman on that fact. However, I must say to you, Ms. Tillman, even though it's hard for you to understand, for some people, as he said, he's old school, it's so foreign to them, they don't even know where to begin. I will say this, I do believe he wants a relationship with you. You have Mr. Johnson, he's not going anywhere. But don't let the rift between them keep you from knowing and accepting and enjoying the love of your father. You're blessed, baby. You've got your answer and you've got 2 men that love you. Enjoy it. Court is adjourned.